Hello and welcome to another Dark Mount video review. Today I am taking a look at Warbotron WB01-C Sly Strike. This is the third release in the Warbotron Bruticus set, group, whatever, after Airburst and Heavy Noisy. Obviously he is the Swindle, homage, whatever you want to call it. And he is a pretty solid looking Jeep military vehicle thing, vague vehicle design. He's a little weak in the back, I will say that. There's not that much they can do about it. When you see how this transforms, this is kind of unavoidable, so take it or leave it. He has a lot of good panel design. Not entirely clear what it's supposed to be. I guess it's just decorative. His windows obviously are not transparent plastic, they are painted, but again you'll see why when that transforms. And I don't know if I've ever mentioned this in reviews before. I don't think so. I might have in my Optimus for a AoE review, but I don't really like transparent plastic. Usually you can see through it and see robot parts, and it makes stuff brittle, and then they have to paint over the parts that they don't want to be transparent, and it never matches the actual plastic, and I'm good without transparent windows. I know there are people who swear by them, but they are not a huge thing for me. He does have kind of plastic wheels, but they feel almost... I mean, I don't think they're rubberized, but they have a decent enough texture that they're not like that slippery, stupid plastic. When I first got him out of the box, I actually thought they were a harder rubber until I looked at the back, and they are most certainly plastic, but they're a high-quality plastic, which all of their figures so far have been a surprisingly high-quality plastic, so this guy is definitely no exception there. For some size comparisons, I will bring in his wavemates. Might be a little difficult to show off because they're all kind of big. So obviously, as with most combiners, these guys are not in any kind of proper scale. Space Shuttle should be much larger than a tank, which should be much larger than a Humvee. They're limbs, so I don't know how they could do that properly. Maybe they'll figure it out someday, but we don't have mass shifting abilities, so... Obviously, as you can see, he comes with two different weapons. One of them is just kind of a small, almost like Han Solo-esque looking space zapper. And then this larger particle cannon looking thing, which has some pinkish purple, kind of frosted, translucent plastic. And as with all the other Warbotron weapons, it has this thing, which I'm assuming is for the Gestalt mode, or I don't know. Who knows? To transform this guy, there are a lot of different panels, so you want to make sure that you get everything unplugged before you start trying to rip stuff out. There's a kind of sideways peg on the underside of these that plugs into these leg parts. So you want to try to work those out. This section is connected right here and also snaps around this little peg. And once you have both of those, this whole side should lift up. And now you can see the part there, which still need to do on this side. One thing I will say is that this plastic does have a bit of a bend to it, but it's not a scary, oh, I feel like I'm going to break it bend. There's no stressing of any kind. They clearly just used a flexible plastic because they knew that this piece would be plugging and stuff a lot, so I wouldn't be too concerned about that. I wouldn't be rough with it, but I don't think you're going to break it just by normal usage, which is always appreciated. And you can just kind of fold that stuff out of your way for now. And then what you're going to want to do is come under here, and these little wheels are on little stalks that swivel out, and they peg into the side there. And then you have freed up this whole back section, which you can just fold the legs down from, and they will, in typical Transformer style, fold out. And then this whole piece right here is going to move down, but we have to get these arms out of the way first. So just kind of come back here and pop those out. And then this whole thing, fold this up, this whole thing will come around and peg in there. You can come around here, pull the head up. The little pegs that these window parts pegged into before are going to peg in kind of where the wheel wells were. Arms are going to come down and around. The back of the legs have panels that you can fold down to cover up their hollowness. You split the legs, and there are actually side panels as well that do the same. And then the feet, there is a section that folds out here, and then this little toe part bends down to fill in the foot. And then this back is pretty much a do-as-you-wish kind of thing. These fold up in several different places. They have a crease here, and they also have another one there that allows them to fold back. So they kind of like accordion. And you can do a couple things with them. You can try to fold them in like that and fold this on top of them. They do kind of collapse a little bit. They're on these weird sliders that are a little difficult to show off. But they're on these kind of, like, I don't know. I don't even want to call them sliders because they barely move. They are kind of weird, to be honest. I'm not sure what they're for. They slide to collapse these a little bit, but they don't seem to be super effective, and they don't really accomplish very much. So, I don't know. But that's generally how I do it. You can kind of do it however you want. It does split down the middle, but I'm pretty sure that's for something else, because you don't need to do it at all for transforming. Or, as far as I know, limb mode. Actually, I've put him into limb mode, so I have no idea why this splits down the middle. Who knows? These wheels, you can do whatever you wish. Usually I just kind of pop them back like that, but obviously it is totally up to you. And for the arms, you have two different options. You get about that much bend if you have them this way, but you can spin them around, have the purple facing forward, and get more bend. So that seems like the obvious option to me. His fists are a bit tight. It's not really that big of a problem in my opinion, because you can just pull them out with the weapons. Although, of course, now that I'm doing it on video, it's going to make a liar out of me. There you go. So yeah, those are definitely a little bit tight. If it bothers you a lot, you can loosen this little screw a little bit. I'm just letting it loosen out because it's not really that big of a deal to me. I don't mind pulling it out with his gun, and I'd prefer they be tight instead of loose. Can give him his weapons after you spin his hand around. Like I said, this gun's got two different things. I have trouble getting this one into his hand, so I usually try to have him hold this, but depending on the day, sometimes it's like too small. Yep, and there you have Sly Strike, or Swindle, in his robot mode. And he looks good. I'm really impressed with Warbotron so far. I'm not thinking I'm doing their Quantron, or I think they're maybe doing a Defensor or something too. I'm just really into Bruticus. I love their big chunky look that they have going on. Works really well, in my opinion at least, for the Bruticus characters. And Swindle is a huge favorite of mine. I think he's awesome. They nailed his face sculpt. As a couple of other reviewers have mentioned, it's definitely kind of a mix between G1 and like animated. He's got this big goofy grin on his face and the giant glasses. It's pretty much perfect. There's a bit of an option here where you can leave it in this more G1 configured chest style thing, or you can have this whole chest flop up and reveal kind of a more Warbotron-esque, updated, maybe comic style chest that's got some more silver detailing and stuff on it. I like them both. I kind of go back and forth. When he's just standing alone, I actually do like the more G1 style chest better. I like seeing robot parts in, or sorry, vehicle parts in my robots. I don't mind that. That doesn't bug me. When he's standing with his other Warbotron friends, it kind of gives him a more cohesive look with the team. So I will show that off when I'm doing a size comparison, which will be now. And for a size comparison, here he is with his other Warbotron buddies. In the sense of they're all basically the same size. Definitely coming together nicely. And just for a general all-purpose size comparison, here he is with Generations Lockdown. So as I was saying before, Swindle or Sly Strike, or whatever you want to call him, has two different looks that he can go for. The first being this kind of car chest thing, which fits in a little better with Brawl or Heavy Noisy, because he has the tank chest. But then you also have the option of unpegging this and flapping it back around to the back and ending up with a more robotic chest that fits in a little bit better with Airburst here, or Blast Off. So it could really go either way. I like them both. I can't really decide. I just kind of waffle back and forth as to which one I use on any given occasion. They're both cool. I don't really have a problem with either of them. I understand that this is for the combination, so there's not much they could have done about it, but it would have been cool if he had something like that too, because it's a nice little kind of plus, I guess. But I like purple, so I do really like this, but just for design, I think I do like the car chest better. Gives him a little bit more of a brawly look. So, basically, he's the same articulation as all of the other Warbotron guys. He has swivel, inward and outward movement, upper rotation here. It's got a decent bend this way, and a still pretty okay bend that way. Hand rotation, waist rotation, head on a ball joint, and a little transformation flap. But very expressive heads on these guys. These little wheels are articulated, so you can do any number of things with those. His hips are universal joints with upper leg swivel and a wonderful knee for transformation reasons. His feet are on a ball joint. You get a surprising amount of tilt out of them because they cut half of the ball joint hole out there, you can see, so it actually swivels past the peg, stalk, whatever. So he can get some really wide stances. His feet are flat until here, which is pretty impressive. Obviously you have heel articulation, and this toe bit moves, but it doesn't do anything for the foot. So, and I think that is it for articulation, unless I'm forgetting something. Nope. So my final thoughts on this guy are that he is awesome. He looks awesome regardless of how you choose to display his chest. He's well balanced, he stands well. He's just great. He's an all-around great figure. All of the Warbotron figures so far have been really, really good. Definitely glad I took a chance on them. I had no idea who their company was when they first announced they were doing a Bruticus, but the design just looked so good on paper that I had to give it a shot, and I'm really glad I did. So far we're only waiting on 2 more robots, and then I will have an actual Bruticus in my collection. Right now, the only thing that I have is the Fall of Cybertron G2 Bruticus, which is not as terrible as everyone in the world likes to make it out to be, but is definitely not what I'm looking for in a Bruticus for my Chugs collection. So, these guys are definitely going to fill that space. This guy in particular might be my favorite so far. Each new one has really impressed me. I didn't think I was even going to like Brawl that much because he's just a tank, and we've had so many tank transformers, but he might be my favorite tank transformer ever. He's great. If you're into the third-party scene, and especially if you want a new Bruticus in your collection, if you're replacing that old Fans Project monstrosity thing, or the Bruticus like the one that I have from Fall of Cybertron, I would recommend this. The only complaint I have is right there. Neither of these fit into his hand very well. You can try to put this one in, but it's like not wide enough, and you have to force it past the thumb, and I always feel like I'm going to break the thumb, and I have had consistent issues with all of these figures in terms of holding their main weapon, whichever weapon has this little dropout thing. Actually, Airburst doesn't have that problem, because his connect to his arms. So it's really only Heavy Noisy and Sly Strike here that I have this issue with, where this peg is too short for them to hold without it falling out all the time, and this peg doesn't fit into their hand properly. So I'm not sure if I'm doing something wrong, but there's only 2 options, and neither of them work, so I don't know what I could possibly be doing wrong. But if you know, tell me. There's not really any other place to attach these, which is my other, I guess, not complaint, but it's kind of lame. I wish there was some way to attach this somewhere else in a usable place, like maybe to his arm or something, but whatever. I mean, at this point, I'm just nitpicking about silly things. This is a great figure. I really can't muster any actual complaints that I would consider detractors for buying it, so if you're into anything even remotely concerning this character, I highly recommend it. Thanks for watching, guys. I will see you next time.